We're now going live to Venezuela as the National Assembly continues the debate on the amnesty law that was first announced by Acting President Desi Rodriguez. Let's listen as the session continues. First object of the day, the only point, the continuation of the second discussion of the amnesty law for the democratic coexistence in accordance to what is foreseen in Article 106. This is the only point on the debate, Mr. President. Thank you, Deputy. Before beginning the debate to the second discussion of the amnesty law of the bill, we greet the members of the Programs for Peace and Democratic Coexistence of Venezuela, Culture Minister Ernesto Villegas, who is the coordinator of the program, Executive Secretary of the Program for Peace, and my teacher in 4th grade, leader of the Great Mission. She had 17 years when she was my teacher. The leader of the Great Mission, John Venezuela. Person in charge for the Central University of Venezuela. Businessman and former president of the House. Director of Tuna National Park. Our brother Gustavo, leader of coming 23rd of January, an influencer. We all welcome to this discussion. Citizen Secretary, please go ahead to provide the information about the ongoing. On the ordinary session of Thursday, February 12th, points until the 14 were approved, and we are going to begin on the 15th point on the referred text. This is all. Thank you, Secretary. Seeing as we have had an important consultation, a deep consultation with all sectors of national life, and especially those sectors are especially motivated to learn, to give their opinion, to intervene in the debate about this law. Also knowing that yesterday, all this day, but today especially, is a day of deep debates, and I will call all deputies to follow strictly the rules that are established for the debates of the National Assembly, to everything that is established as well in the legislative techniques on the second discussion of bills, so that in the second discussion is made based on the report made by the Special Commission, and that we go over article by article, including different titles and paragraphs. In that sense, I call on all of you to be broad in regards to the interventions of deputies until we have time. Citizen Secretary, go ahead to read the report on the second discussion for the bill for coexistence, democratic coexistence. Go ahead and begin on the 15th point of that report. 15. We suggest to approve with modifications Article 7, which will be written like this. Amnesty, object of this law, comprises all persons that are found or can be processed or convicted by crimes or faults committed in the framework of the facts within the amnesty, exceptionally when the person is not currently within the national territory, will be able to go before the competent tribunal through a power granted to a lawyer of his trust or her trust, without it being necessary any other form after presenting this request for amnesty, the person cannot be put in prison for the facts within this law and will have to appear in person before the competent tribunal for the granting of the amnesty. The amnesty will only include people that have stopped in the actions of incidents that constitute a crime or stop doing these actions after the putting into effect of this law. Approved by unanimity. Well, no, sorry. Deputy Raj wants to say. Good evening, Mr. President. Colleagues, Parliament. This law that we are debating today is not perfect, but without doubt is a great advance for the reconciliation of Venezuela. Without doubt, it will mitigate the suffering of many Venezuelans, of many families that despite not being in prison, they are also submitted to suffering of prison of their loved ones. We will vote on this article number 7 because we are committed with the freedom of political prisoners and those persecuted. However, this norm should operate in full right. So those benefited of the amnesty should not have any restrictive paperwork, but on the contrary, to have a preferential treatment, because the political amnesty is to grant them tranquility, in which in many cases are unlawfully imprisoned and today are under the law. Our interest as Venezuelans, Deputy, with all respect, you are the Vice President of the Commission. I understand that you took part in this discussion. Could the Vice President and the President could get close so we can talk? Where we're seeing live images coming from the National Assembly of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, as the deputies will continue on the second discussion on the bill for the Amnesty Law for the Democratic Coexistence. As we heard the President of the National Assembly, Jorge Rodriguez, they will continue to discuss the remaining articles within the bill moving forward. We must recall that last Thursday, February 12th, the first 6 articles of the bill were approved by unanimity, by the full vote in favor of the National Assembly. Those first 6 articles were approved, as we were saying, last February 12th, last Thursday, and due to the lack of consensus moving forward with the 7th article, which is the one that began here in this second discussion, the debate on the bill for the amnesty law was postponed to this Thursday, and as we're saying, it began this Thursday, February 19th, and they will continue to go over article by article to vote article by article deputies of the National Assembly. And the vote, as we were saying, began on Article 7, which was the ones that was put on shelf on the last plenary when the debate began. Right now, the President of the National Assembly, Rodriguez, is talking. Well, I hope we have coffee and snacks, because we're gonna need a lot of time. Go ahead, Deputy. To conclude, we wanted to conclude saying that our interest as Venezuelans is not to privilege some and prejudice others, but so that in our country political persecution ends. After a long debate of every point, this article has great achievements, as we allow the legal representation of the people that are currently abroad, and that these remain in freedom. So I believe this point that we had a lot of discussion in the previous session, for us is very satisfactory, and that's why we approve it. Thank you, Deputy. Deputy Jorge Arriaza. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Today we had a very strong day of debate and discussion on a law that was proposed. It's an initiative of the National Executive of the acting President Delcy Rodriguez. Every single article was broadly discussed, deeply discussed. There were great consensus, and I believe we must celebrate this and avoid using this session to give a debate in every article and win with political calculation, followers. I believe that we must continue with a lot of respect this debate, and also with the same spirit that we had in the Special Commission during these 2 weeks. Thank you very much. Thank you, Deputy Arriaza. Since there were interventions on this article, I'm mandated to put this article on vote. In consideration, those in favor to approve Article 7 of the bill, approved by unanimity. The following, 16th point. We suggest to approve Article 8, which is written the following way. In consideration, approve. The next. 17th, approve the modification of Article 8, which is redacted the following. Article 8. We grant amnesty to the crimes false committed in the context of the following incidents. Second Secretary, to give an explanation to deputies. As we have seen in this article, as was expressed by the President of the Special Commission, there was a very broad debate regarding to who should be the benefit of this amnesty, and this created recommendations on behalf of the sectors of opposition to include elements in this article, and they were included, some of them, in the bill. I will, with the due respect and with the permission of the session, to vote the incidents one by one, so that we see what is the opinion of the deputies. The first, coup d'etat of April 11th and 12th, year 2002, including the assaults, attacks against governance, mayorship, and public installations and private installation. Deputies in favor of the first incident of Article 8. Approve. Following. Everything related with the sabotage against oil industry of December 2002 until February 2003. Deputies to vote in favor. Those in favor. Approved. Everything that has to do with the violent acts for political motives that occurred during the calling and following carried out of the presidential referendum of the year 2004. Deputies in favor, please vote. Following. Everything related with the protests and violent actions for political motive that occurred in May 2007. Deputies that are in favor of we give the floor to Luis Florido. As the President knows and the members of the Commission knows, we agreed to remove the word violent from those facts, because these are facts. They can be violent or not violent. We cannot criminalize every person. Order. I thought we would have patience today. I did some relaxation techniques. I think it won't work. Let's remain calm, deputies. Let's be able to, so that we can hear each other. Deputy Florido is an elected deputy of our republic, so he has the right to express himself. Well, I say again, in previous occasion, I took part of the debate that, of course, had the spirit of coexistence that must exist in such an important law. One of the issues that we talk about is that the word violence had to be eliminated. It is not necessary to put adjectives because these are facts, and facts can be of different nature. When you put only the violent facts, then you are already qualifying the persons that can be benefited from this. So we propose that the way it is written, when we eliminate this word, it doesn't miss the sense of the paragraph, and even less of the spirit of what we are trying to do, which are facts. These are facts, should not be put with adjectives. Well, I did not take part in the sessions, but that's an important element of the writing. If a person participated in non-violent facts in 2007, it doesn't need to be subject to any amnesty law because it did not commit any crime, did not commit any fault. It is to say, if one person voted in the elections of 2007 is not beneficiary of the amnesty law, but if a person burned a building, he is the one that is going to benefit from the law. And this is what we are debating. Listen, you have the recordings there, Deputy. The recordings are there. This was not debated, this was not discussed, this was not submitted to voting, nor was agreed upon. Thank you very much. Well, we move forward with the voting. Deputies in favor of the fourth fact of Article 8. Approved by a vast majority. No, there's no unanimity. Let's do it again. Deputies in favor of fact 4 of Article 8. Fifth, everything related with the demonstrations and violence acts for political motive occurred between July and September of 2009. Well, in consideration, deputies in favor, please proceed to vote. Six, everything related with the protests and violent actions for political motive coming from the presidential elections of April 2013 and the proclamation of its result. Deputies in favor, proceed to vote. Approved by unanimity. 1 second, deputies. So as we have been following up, the Venezuelan National Assembly continues with the debate and voting on the different points of the article as we just witnessed. Article 7 was approved by unanimity, and now they are voting on Article 8, the different points between February and June 2014. In consideration, deputies, please proceed to vote on Fact 7. Approved by unanimity. Eighth, everything related to the acting of the National Assembly installed for the period 2017-2020 and the disregard of public institutions and authorities. In consideration, the eighth fact of the 8th article of this bill. Please proceed to vote. Approved by unanimity. Ninth, there's a correction that the first vice president does because the National Assembly elected in 2015 began in 2016 and ended on January 4th, 2021. Please correct this. Everything related with the violent actions for political motive occurred between March and August year 2017. Deputies in favor of the ninth fact of Article 8 of the bill, please proceed to vote. Approved by unanimity. 10th, everything related with the violent acts for political motive that occurred between January and April of the year 2017, except everything that has to do with the crime of military rebellion. In consideration, deputies in favor to approve the 10th thank of the 8th article of the bill. Approved by unanimity. 11th, everything that has to do with the call for the internal process for the presidential candidates that occurred in 2023. In consideration, deputies in favor of the 11th fact of Article 8 of the bill proceed to vote. Approved by unanimity. 12, everything related with the violent acts for political motive that occurred in the framework of the presidential elections held in July 2024. This is all. Deputies in favor of this point, fact 12 of Article 8 of the bill, please proceed to vote. Thirteenth, everything related with expressions and violent actions for political motive that occurred in the framework of the regional elections for the National Assembly held in the year 2025. This is all. Deputies, Pablo Perez, Deputy Pablo Perez. Good evening, President, colleagues, members of the Board of Directors. My speech goes in two senses. One, in the subject on how it is written. I expressed this in the commission. I made the proposal to remove everything that has to do with violent facts. Number one, facts that has to do. Wait, let's first approve the 13th point and then you can have the floor. In consideration with point 13 of Article 8 of the bill, please proceed to vote. Approved by unanimity. Now, go ahead, Pablo Perez. Well, as I was saying, the issue that has about how it is written, I made a proposal that to not put violent acts. That's on one side. I want to say that. For the second part, we want to add two more facts. One referred to the facts of labor and union actions consistent in actions of recognized rights of workers in national laws and international laws. There are workers from different sectors that are currently in prison for demanding their labor rights. And another that has to do to extend the amnesty to all facts that all citizens be processed, convicted, or subject to prison sentence. This is all. Thank you, Deputy. Alfonso Campos has the floor. Good evening, blessings for all. President, I'm part of the Special Commission for the Amnesty Law, and in this article, to include those isolated cases, specific or particular cases, that are not included in the time period established in this article. I say this, the satisfaction of Democratic Alliance to upheld this article the way that it's written is that in Article 15, we were going to grant division to the Special Commission of follow-up so that it can analyze and go over those cases that are not contemplated within the facts established in Article 8. I say this because before Article 8 is approved, because it would have the objection that in the law that is being read, the report I have in my hand, that second paragraph is not there of Article 15 that grants the Special Commission the capacity to evaluate those cases that are not considered in the facts that are established by Article 8. Thank you, Deputy. Please, General Commission, Stalin Gonzalez. Please, all deputies members of the General Commission, come close. So we continue to see what is happening right now in the National Assembly as the Legislative Palace, the deputies of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela continue the second discussion of the bill for the Amnesty Law for Democratic Coexistence. Right now we are seeing everything that has to do with the different facts within Article 8, which establishes which are the facts of the people that were involved in those incidents who will be benefited from the Amnesty Law. We saw that all the different facts that were described by Article 8 were discussed and approved by the National Assembly. Right now, the President of the National Assembly, Jorge Rodriguez, is speaking with the members of the General Assembly to go over the latest proposal that we heard, that is to add another paragraph to Article 15 that has to do with granting the special powers to the Special Commission of follow-ups that will follow up everything how it's done on this Amnesty Law, everything that has to do with that are not included in that time periods, in the facts and time period that are established in Article 8. So right now the President of the National Assembly is going over about this second paragraph that is being asked to add to the 15th article, which we have not reached that point yet in the debate in the National Assembly. Now, as we were saying, it is important to highlight that this debate has taken place and continues to take place with all sectors of Venezuelan society, both private, public, business, all different sectors coming and from all political sides as well, all from across the political spectrum, has been everyone has taken part in the debate and the writing, the drafting of this Amnesty Law, which was first announced and proposed by the acting president, Delcy Rodriguez, as a way to create spaces for coexistence, a space for democratic dialogue, to bring unity, to bring national unity to the nation, and to bring consensus among the Venezuelan people to be able to refer to all the different challenges that the nation might face. Now, as they are now speaking, as we were saying, they are debating the 7th article, which was approved. The 7th article was the one that was put on the shelf last Thursday, since there was a lot of lack of consensus. Last Thursday, February 12th, from the articles 1 through 6 were approved by unanimously. And today's special session began with the 7th article, which was approved, and now the deputies are analyzing the Article 8 of the bill for the Amnesty Law, that goes over who are going to be the beneficiaries of this Amnesty Law, the participants of of all the different facts that has been described by Article 8. Right now, the session is in pause because the President of the National Assembly is speaking with the General Assembly after one of the deputies referred to the fact that there's a paragraph missing in Article 15, which has to do with granting special powers to the Special Commission of Follow-ups to be able to analyze and discuss other people that might benefit from the Amnesty Law that are not within the time periods and facts that were added that are expressed clearly in Article 8. So far we saw all the points in Article 8 were approved, 13 of them by unanimity and 1 by a vast majority. I understand the concern that you have, and I will say it plainly. I understand the concern that the Deputy Pablo Perez has expressed. The main reason why the Commission has decided to exclude in this bill a previous drafting where we point specifically some cases is that the law of amnesty for democratic coexistence refers to facts. It cannot refer to persons in particular. It is possible that we have had situations when this special commission, which will be appointed for the follow-up of this law, as well as the program for democratic coexistence, must pay attention to this specifically, but we cannot write facts that could include the whole penal system of Venezuela, the whole population. If we do it with that broad, I want to make a proposal, not a proposal, a commitment. With Article 15, we will approve a commission for following up for the fulfillment of the law of amnesty for democratic coexistence. The first point to debate, to discuss by that commission be precisely what was expressed by Pablo Perez and others that have been part of the discussion. Is this okay? In consideration. As well, a ley that we consider as well, that is a very useful law, which is the law against hate and for democratic coexistence. The program for coexistence and peace is precisely studying the reach of those laws. It's very likely that that law will be reformed at this National Assembly, but it's also true that there were a situation of ill use of the law against hate, and that must be corrected. Who will correct this? Well, the program for democratic coexistence and as well the follow-up commission for the amnesty law. So deputies in favor no, I beg your pardon. We are going to vote the article as a whole. Deputies in favor to approve Article 8 of the bill, proceed to vote. Approved by unanimity. 18th, we suggest to approve without any modification Article 9, excluded crimes, in consideration to epigraph. Approve. Following. 19th, approve with modification Article 9, drafted the following terms. Article 9, excluded from the foreseen amnesty in this law actions and omission that constitute the following crimes. First, grave violations to human rights, crimes against humanity and war crimes in accordance with Article 29 of the Bolivarian Republic Constitution, homicide and serious injuries, drug trafficking, fourth, crimes foreseen in the corruption law, also excluded from amnesty foreseen in this law, people that can be processed, condemned, convicted for promoting, calling, favor, facilitate, finance, or take part in armed actions against the people, against the sovereignty and against the territorial integrity of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela on behalf of states, corporations, or foreign persons, in consideration, approved by unanimity. So that we all have members of the programs of coexistence and peace. We're going to see provocations. There's a real intention to instigate facts so that the situation takes us once more to confrontation and hate. Today, that we knew that we were going to discuss the Amnesty Law, in Jorge Rodriguez Square, that square is not named by the widow, nor Commander Chavez, nor the children. The name was granted to that square by the Council of University in 1976, when a month had passed from the killing, assassination of Jorge Rodriguez. Today, people very well identified, people referring to the name, to the plaque that refers to the Jorge Rodriguez. In that square, they put kidnapper, assassin. And the name was given to that square, Jorge Rodriguez, because he was the deputy of the Central University of Venezuela. He was there from those years, 1977. So, just as they have used, and we can recognize this, some articles of some laws have been used. It's also true that there's been a systematic campaign of instigation to hate and to instigate division and confrontation among Venezuelans. So I call and ask not only that we don't fall on provocations, but that we actively become defenders of peace, because they are once more paid, and against you as well. I know this. I'm not excluding you from this. I'm not excluding you from that campaign of hate. But once again, trying to seek the way to once again divide Venezuelans. And we must insist, Venezuelans, deputies, peace is the path, and we cannot allow that violent extremism impacts the territory of the Republic. We cannot allow this to happen. We come from a very catastrophic experience that happened last January 3rd, 2026. No one, opposition, Chavistas, independents, want that for their country. And whoever wants it is a psychopath. We must insist. That's what we're doing. When we must become, by approving this law, defenders of the Republic, because there will be provocation and we cannot fall in them. And the people that did it have been identified, and they will be prosecuted, since if there is a crime. I have the picture here. Here it is. Whoever knows the names of these two persons, feel free to report it. Thank you, deputies. We suggest to approve without modification Article 10th, drafted in the following terms. Approved. 21st, we suggest to approve with modification Article 10th, drafted in the following terms. Article 10th, with the regulated amnesty in this law, will eliminate all penal actions against the people benefited by the amnesty in any state or process or fulfillment of the sentence. Everything that has to do specifically with the facts object in this law. And in consequence, any measure of personal coercion, alternative measures to imprisonment or any other measure that was implemented will end. The effects of the amnesty extends to all authors and participants of the crimes and faults to which this law makes reference. Deputy Henry Falcon. Thank you very much, President, deputies. We wanted to take the floor in this article not only to reaffirm our commitment of consensus in the drafting of the same, but also because, as it is known, the amnesty has to be an integral fact. If it ends as it is put on the law, the main sentence, then it is clear that the secondary sentence must also disappear. In this case, inhabilitations, the presentation regime, everything that has to do with the exercise of the right to express freely, just as the exiting and entering of the country. I very quickly read the article. For many people that are expectating about what we are doing today, and it's necessary to defeat as well all those mechanisms that try to distort the information and generate an atmosphere that impacts what we're doing. Completely end the article, completely end any disciplinary measure, penal action against the people that are benefited by this amnesty in all states, in any state, no matter the moment of the process or the sentence, related to the facts expressed in this law. In consequence, any coercion measure will end. Alternative measures to freedom will also end, and any other measure that was implemented. The effects of the current amnesty goes to all the authors and participants of the crimes or faults to which this law makes reference. I want only very quickly to conclude. It's clear that the amnesty is a fact that the state proposes to forget. So we cannot stay with the difference of the past. And I believe for a superior motive, which is the country, the republic, and in a way this creates a space, a real space, effective and efficient for reconciliation, re-encountering stability and peace that Venezuela demands. Thank you very much. And the proposal? I said at the beginning that is to reaffirm our commitment, consensus to this article. Since there was an intervention, we must vote. You have the floor. Yes, Mr. President. Since this is being broadcast, the people is very interested in the content of the law. The people want democratic coexistence that is put forward by the Amnesty Law. It is not good. There is only one narrative for the collective mind, and it is the people to whom we work. Constitution Article 201 says, deputies, we do not obey to mandates or instructions, but only our conscience, and our vote is personal in the assembly. Therefore, President, there is a spirit of coexistence here. The article has been approved, but we cannot pretend. We must recall there is an article that establishes the exclusions. Many might think that many make committed crimes against public patrimony, those people will be benefited, and this is not the way it is. And I wanted this to be reflected. Just as deputy said his position in the case, from our political, the United Socialist Party, we want also to express our opinion. Thank you, Deputy Iris Valera. So it is clear, so the people knows what is happening here in the National Assembly. According to the dictionary, amnesty is forgiveness of certain types of crimes. It's a pardon. One doesn't need to pardon those who have not committed anything wrong. One pardons someone that has committed a fault. And I put an example. O.J. Simpson was convicted for the killing of his wife and the lover. And probably he was left in liberty because for what he was being charged, the homicide. But the family of those that were killed were against him in a civil suit, and they won it, and they had to pay millions of dollars. It's not that if they say it cannot be sentenced as the perpetrator of homicide, it doesn't mean that they will have to pay from the civil perspective. It is clear here in the framework from these commissions, the Program for Coexistence and Peace and the Special Commission, we will go over everything that Venezuelans want us to go over. And there's no need to have a doubt about this, but we must know what are the limits established in this law. And they are here. It is very clear, and these which are the facts, and we voted one by one, and which are not included, which are excluded. Because it's true, because there can be a case where there was an ill use of the law against hate. But it's also true that people were killed for instigations to hate. It is true that there was a moment of political life in Venezuela where people published the address and phones of the sons and people close that were part of the Bolivarian Revolution. I had to move 3 times. One when I was in the National Electoral Council, another when I was the vice president, and another when I was a mayor, because they published, here's where he lives, and then they came to throw things at my house. That's not the country where we want to live. And no one must think that we are here betting on impunity. It is a pardon that we are making, called by the acting president of the Republic. Following. 22nd, to approve without modification the title of the Article 12. 23rd, we suggest to approve with modification the content of Article 12 drafted in the following terms. Article 12. The competent tribunal will go over the amnesty in each case and will decree the follow-up of all processes ongoing and going over the sentences for deciding on replacing sentences. It will also rule on all measures to assure the fulfillment of this law, including the end of the coercion measures, of the alternative measures for imprisonment, and or any other measure that was approved. It will be in the competence of this tribunal to know and decide on the requests presented in the process that are being in the preparatory stage, trial, or intermediate. The request will be presented by the public ministry, the accused, or defender. It will be on the Court of Appeal to present the processes in the stage of discussion. The request can be presented by any subject referred in the article of the Penal Code of the nation. I want to say sorry because we didn't vote on the Article 10th, and we must vote on the Article 10th because there were intervention. Deputies in favor to approve Article 10th. Approved by unanimity, Article 10th. Also in consideration, Article 11th. Approved by unanimity. Follow. Next. 24th, we suggest to approve without modification title of Article 12. In consideration, approved. We suggest to approve with modification the content of Article 12 drafted in the following terms. Article 12. Against the decision ruled by the competent tribunal on the facts object of this law, the victims created in the process in the public ministry and the people and the person condemned or processed will be able to file an appeal only with effects of return. The recourse will be transmitted in accordance to what is established in the Penal Code. Approved. 27th, we suggest to approve without modification the title of Article 13. Approved. 27th, we suggest to approve with modification the content of Article 13, drafted in the following terms. Article 13. Police bodies and investigative committees and military investigative organizations will close all process proceedings in relation to the facts object of this amnesty, except the exceptions foreseen in Article 9 of this law. In consideration? Approved. 28th, we suggest to approve a modification title of Article 14th. Removal of registry and records. In consideration? 29th, we suggest to approve with modification the content of Article 14th, drafted in the following terms. Article 14th. The bodies and administrative organizations, police or military, in which have records or penal records on people benefited by the amnesty object of this law will have to eliminate from its archives the records related to them. The person interested in the case that the beneficiary is called for its detention or location abroad, he will be immediately notified to the competent instances so that they put without effect those requests. Approve Article 14. 30th, we suggest to approve without modification the title of Article 15. This is all. 31st, we suggest to approve with modification of the content of Article 15, drafted in the following term. Article 15. The National Assembly will appoint a special commission that will develop and implement mechanisms to make sure the fulfillment of this law in collaboration with the justice system. To that end, it will count with the support of experts with the object to provide counsel in function with the objectives established. Said commission will be able to recommend the competent organizations the implementation of additional measures to reach the goals foreseen in Article 2. This is all. I'm going to give the floor to Antonio Carri. Mr. President, deputies, special greeting to the figures of the program of peace that are doing a great job. And from this bench, we recognize it. We must be very brave for peace. And of course, there's going to be a lot of provocations. But one of the things that during the exercise of this work of the Commission was this article. Coming from the consultations made, we saw the need to create a commission, a parliamentary commission, not only to review the cases, a parliamentary commission that gave continuity to the work that has been developed by the Commission, which is drafting this bill. That's why we, given the conditions that we verify with interviews, with meetings, and everything that we have been doing, we have provocations that are going to come from all kinds. Just like the provocation of this morning that you referred to, Mr. President, that we take the opportunity to reject. There are provocations of officials, corrupt officials in these countries, that have made disasters in important causes. Point of order, Deputy. You are making accusations, very serious accusations, to which we will need to request for proof. And we don't have time now unless you have the proof right now. But until you do not present the proof, you cannot make those accusations. I'm saying there's a group. Well, a group is something general. That's why I propose that this commission, to act precisely in the spirit of what we talk with Article 8, said commission will be able to recommend the competent organizations to adopt additional measures to be able to fulfill what is foreseen in Article 2, including alternative measures not foreseen in this law. The idea is precisely that recommendations are given to the judicial organizations. We give the recommendations to the National Assembly itself for the treatment of these facts. Thank you very much. General Commission, deputies. Well, the second debate continues. Second discussion for the Amnesty Law continues to be debated by deputy members of the National Assembly. We have seen the approval from Article 7 to the 14th in all these different points. Now they are currently debating on Article 15, which is the one that deals with the appointment of a special commission to make sure to follow up on the fulfillment of this bill if it is finally approved as a whole. Now we have seen this article is the one that will grant the special commission with the necessary tools to implement new measures and adopt new strategies to make sure that the amnesty law is correctly fulfilled. We have seen the debate that came from this article. One of the members of the National Assembly proposed to add several points to this Article 5th. We also saw previously in the debate of Article 8th that the first point was proof that the first point of order for that assembly or for that special commission will be to determine the different exclusion that might be needed for the persons that might be benefit from the amnesty law that are not included in the different faults that are included in Article 8. This is the point that is currently in debate, the Article 15. The President of the National Assembly, Jorge Rodriguez, called the General Commission in charge of the drafting of this bill to go over the proposal of the deputy that intervened during the debate of Article 15. We're seeing their live images, as we were saying, on this important discussion of this law that was first proposed by the acting President Delcy Rodriguez for Democratic Coexistence and Peace to create a space, as she announced, to create a space of reconciliation of all Venezuelans, and to bring all Venezuelans together to put the interests of the Bolivarian of the Republic of Venezuela, of the nation, at the forefront. We must add that these debates that are right now being discussed here and voted, the debate was very broad, as all sectors of Venezuelan society took part in the discussions leading up to this point in the National Assembly. We must highlight as well, as we were saying, the participation of all the not only different sectors in the private and public life, but also from all the political spectrum that is present here in the National Assembly of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. As we were saying, the amnesty law was a proposal made earlier by the acting President Delcy Rodriguez to create spaces of reconciliation, of re-encountering of the Venezuelan people to achieve a nation that continues to live in peace and continues to work in one same direction, which is for the benefit of the Republic as a whole. Now, the debates continue to have been described by different deputies, have been described as deep, very deep moments of reflections and discussions, and as they go over the different articles that are being voted one by one. The first discussion took place on February 12th, last Thursday, where Articles 1 through 6 were approved, and finding that there was very lack of consensus from the 7th moving forward, it was decided to postpone, to continue the discussion on a second date, which this is the date, this is the moment where we are right now, to try to find, to reach and maintain and protect the stability of the Venezuelan people, of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. Right now, this February 19th, this Thursday, the National Assembly continues with that second discussion. So far, Articles 7 through 14 have been approved by unanimity. There's only one point within Article 8 was approved by a vast qualified majority, but all articles from 7th to the 14th have been approved by unanimity, and right now the debate is on Article 15. We are seeing the President of the National Assembly, Jorge Rodriguez, speaking closely with the members of the General Commission in charge of the drafting of this bill for the amnesty law for democratic coexistence, following the suggestions coming from one of the deputies in regards to Article 15 to add certain points, add certain powers to that special commission. We must recall that Article 15 has to do with the appointment of that special commission for the follow-up of the fulfillment of this amnesty law. An amnesty law that is being discussed to be able to guarantee peace and stability for Venezuela as a whole. That's the main objective of this amnesty law that was proposed and presented by the acting president, Delcy Rodriguez. In that spirit, the deputies of the National Assembly of Venezuela have taken to the discussion to ensure the best possible way to strengthen this law, this bill that is being discussed, debated here at the National Assembly. As described by the President of the National Assembly, Rodriguez, this amnesty law is not that impunity is being protected by the law. On the contrary, it's a way to pardon certain criminal actions, because we must recall that not everyone that took part in violent actions will benefit from this amnesty law. Article 9 is very clear on the exclusions of the people that will not benefit from this amnesty, and some of the crimes that will not be within this amnesty law is the cold support of a foreign military action against the nation, or drug trafficking. Crimes of drug trafficking will not be part of this amnesty law. Articles both 8 and 9 make it very clear which are the incidents that will include the amnesty, that people that were participants of those incidents will benefit from the amnesty. And Article 9 is very clear on who will not benefit from the amnesty, which of course are the more serious crimes, as we were saying, the calling for an invasion, for military action both from abroad and within, drug trafficking, as well as crimes against humanity and war crimes, and homicides as well. Anyone involved in those criminal actions, criminal incidents, will not be beneficiary of this amnesty law. As we were saying, is being promoted to create spaces of reconciliation, to create a moment of reconciliation of Venezuelan society, to strengthen unity. So we propose the following drafting. Article 15, the National Assembly will appoint a special commission that will develop and implement mechanisms to ensure the fulfillment of this law in collaboration with the justice system. With that end, it will count with the support of experts with the object to provide special counsel in function of the objectives established. Said commission, in cases duly evaluated, will be able to recommend the competent organization the quick action of alternative measures to reach the objective established in Article 2. In consideration, deputies in favor of this new drafting of Article 15, approved by unanimity. Next, 32nd, we suggest to incorporate a new title of paragraph 16, drafted in the following terms: Peace and Democratic Coexistence. In consideration, this title approved. 33rd, we suggest to approve the incorporation of a new article, Article 16, drafted in the following terms. Article 16, the granting of the amnesty this law contributes to the consolidation of peace and democratic coexistence. People benefited by this law that recur in crimes committed after its entry into effect will be prosecuted in regards to the current judicial law. approved. 34th, we suggest to approve without modification the final disposition drafted in the following term. Final disposition. This law will enter into effect once it is published in the official Gazette of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. This is all. Before voting the unique disposition, I call again on the General Commission. So we continue to see the development of this legislative day, February 19th, the year 2026, as the National Assembly has approved by unanimity all 16 articles of this bill for the Amnesty Law for Democratic Coexistence. Right now we're seeing live how the Special Commission is exchanging with the members of the Board of Directors in regards to the final points, with everything that has to do with the final disposition. The final disposition is the one that is about to be voted. We saw the National Assembly right now vote all articles from 1 to 16 and have been approved by unanimity this far. Right now, as we were saying, the Special Commission for the bill and the Board of Directors of the National Assembly is going over that final disposition, which says that the amnesty law, if approved, will enter into effect once it is published in the official Gazette of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. This February 12th, we saw the approval of Article 7 and especially of Article 8, which is the one that has to do with the different, which is the one that was voted in depth, since it is the only one that they went point by point within Article 8, because Article 8, as we were referring, has to do with the incidents, the facts that will be included for the amnesty, the people that will benefit from the amnesty. And Article 9 has to do with the crimes that will not be included in the amnesty, and therefore the people that committed them will not be beneficiaries of this amnesty law, which is being, as we were saying, is being debated in depth to create spaces of coexistence and for reconciliation, and to preserve the stability of the Bolivarian Republic. The debate is going to continue now. We saw the President of the National Assembly conclude the talks with the Special Commission in charge of drafting the bill. It will now continue very shortly. We must recall that the debate stopped, the voting stopped in the final disposition that has to do with when will this law be, if approved, will be into effect, although we saw all articles from 1 to 16 be approved by unanimity from all political sectors present here in the Venezuelan National Assembly. A debate that has included not only the entire political spectrum present here in the National Assembly, but also all sectors of Venezuelan society. A very broad and in-depth debate proposed by the acting president, Des Rodriguez, to create these spaces of reconciliation and to make sure to strengthen the peace and coexistence of all Venezuelans within the Bolivarian Republic, with a clear aim to ensure the stability of the nation, to ensure that Venezuelans live in a country of peace, in a country that works hand in hand despite differences of opinion or way of thinking, but work hand in hand for the benefit and in the best interest of the country as a whole. We continue to follow up the debate taking place at the National Assembly as the president of the Assembly, Jorge Rodriguez, continues to have a close debate with members of the Special Commission before proceeding to vote on the final disposition of the bill, the Amnesty Law for Democratic Coexistence. Referring to Article 9, which is the one that makes it clear the crimes that will not be included in the Amnesty Law, which are the crimes against humanity, war crimes, drug trafficking, and the crimes foreseen in the law against corruption. Anyone involved in any of those crimes will not be included, will not benefit from the Amnesty Law if approved. Last Thursday, February 12th, Articles 1 through 6 were approved, and we have seen this Thursday, February 19th, the National Assembly, in an intense debate, approved the remaining articles from 7 to 16. And now the debate has focused on the final disposition. Before voting on the final disposition, the President of the National Assembly called on the General Commission, the Special Commission, in charge of the drafting of this Amnesty Law, to go over final adjustments, to fine-tune the final details before approving that final disposition. All articles have so far been approved by unanimity, showing the result of the very vast debate to find common ground in the benefit of the people of the country as a whole. So at this time, we continue to witness this important historical moment in Venezuela as the debate continues on this very key amnesty law proposed by Acting President teleSUR Rodriguez to create those spaces to bring about reconciliation and unity among Venezuelans. A debate that has included all sectors of the Venezuelan life, all sectors of the political life as well, all the political spectrum present here in the National Assembly. Very, very in-depth debates that have been made with the objective to create consensus, to create common ground, to be able to work with a common objective, which is to put the interests of the Republic of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela in the forefront, with the objective to guarantee peace and stability of the Bolivarian Republic. Throughout the day, also this Thursday, the Commission were submitting, taking part in the public consultations, and for the past over an hour and a half, over 2 hours now, for the past deputies in favor of approving Article 16. Approved. 34th we suggest to approve without modification the final disposition drafted in the following term. Final disposition. This law will enter effect once it is published in the official Gazette of the Republic of Venezuela. It is all. In consideration, the final disposition approved. Before moving forward, putting into consideration the bill presented in second discussion, I want to read and congratulate the attitude, the disposition, the strength, and the spirit of coexistence that has been shown by this special commission and the deputies of the National Assembly of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. I hope that that action and will that we have shown in the sessions of the National Assembly brings about, is the sign of the new political times that Venezuela must move along. The only thing I regret is that regretful actions and catastrophic actions had occurred so that we all move together and promote peace and union in the Republic. But also, one learn from pains, and from these pains, we are beginning a process in which we must persist, dear deputies. I congratulate you all. In consideration, honorable deputies, in favor of approving the second discussion of the bill for Amnesty Law for Democratic Coexistence presented before the National Assembly of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, please proceed to vote. It is approved by unanimity. In consequence, the Amnesty Law is approved for democratic coexistence. And we will send it to President of Acting President teleSUR Rodriguez. We will send her for the end of its promulgation in accordance to what is established consecrating Article 213 of the Constitution of the Republic of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. Thank you all, deputies, again. I will now proceed to sign the following letter. Citizen teleSUR Rodriguez, Acting President of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. Dear President, cordial greetings. I write to you in the moment to send you the Amnesty Law for Democratic Coexistence, approved on February 19th of this year in accordance to what is enshrined in Article 213 of the Bolivarian Republic Constitution, reiterating our sentiment of high esteem. Deputy Jorge Rodriguez, President of the National Assembly. And we'll now appoint the special commission established in Article 15 of the recently approved law. I will now read the members of this special commission that will be the commission to follow up the Amnesty Law for Democratic Coexistence. It's a special commission of follow-up of Amnesty Law for Democratic Coexistence. President of that commission is Jorge Arriaza. Vice President, Deputy Nola Branch. The commission is made up by Deputies Pedro Infante, Isha Colmenares, Deputy Carolina Garcia, Deputy Tania Diaz, Deputy Nicolás Ernesto Maduro Guerra, Deputy América Pérez, Deputy Pedro Carreño, Deputy Iris Varela, Deputy Cilia Flores, Deputy Roy Laza, Deputy Francisco Torrealba, Deputy Jacqueline Farria, deputies, the following deputies: Stalin Gonzalez, Deputy Antonio Carri, Deputy Juan Carlos Alvarado, Deputy Pablo Pérez, Deputy Rubén Limas, Deputy David Uzcategui, Deputy Luis Florido, Deputy Alejandra Rodriguez, and Deputy Alfonso Campos. This commission of 23 members, of this special commission of 23 members, as a first mission, work mission, is to go to the presidential palace in Miraflores to present the acting president of the Republic the law, the approved law, so that it can be promulgated by the president as head of the executive branch. There is a vehicle outside so that deputies can get on it and go to the Miraflores Palace. Next point, we have concluded. We congratulate the important program for peace and coexistence of Venezuela that has been present in all this moment for this amnesty law as a first step for the process of reconciliation of all the Venezuelan homeland. We conclude here. Session is adjourned.